Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So, the last video we posted on the YF-17, we had just finished paint and putting some of the decals on it. So, now the airplane is ready to fly. I got the battery tray in it, which I'll show you in a second. The radio is all set up. You can see the canopy turned out pretty nice. Like I said earlier, it's kind of more of like a fun scale cockpit. It's not anything extraordinarily detailed or ultra scale, but the pilot is really cool. The pilot is 3D printed. It's a resin 3D printed pilot from the RC Geek. So if you like the full body pilot, check out RC Geek. He also has a number of other different pilots as well. So definitely worth checking out. He makes really cool stuff. Anyways, yeah, here's the model. I ended up shortening the gear just a little bit just now because they were just a hair too long. So let me walk you guys through some of the functions on the radio. So for the time being, on the leading edge flaps, these aren't leading edge slats, these are leading edge flaps because they don't extend, they just droop. So don't get confused by that. But see, we got the main flaps are on a separate switch. And then I also have the leading edge flaps on a separate switch that I can control them manually, or I have a mix function that I can activate. So right now they are off. I turn them on, and I have them slowed down a little bit so they don't act super fast. So what'll probably end up happening is if this amount of travel doesn't really do a whole lot, what I can do is I can go into the first notch on my manual switch and then add more with the elevator, and that's full rate elevator, which I won't be using that for almost anything, but it's there in case I need it. Obviously nothing mixed with the down, up only, and it retracts slowly so I don't get any crazy pitch changes while they're retracting. So I'll put them up. You can see how nice I was able to get the gaps on the flight controls, and that's top and bottom. You don't have to have giant gaps on your flight controls. It looks much nicer, and aerodynamically it's much cleaner this way than going the lazy route of just making a giant gap or a huge slice underneath and then just hinging it on top. So again, I can show you guys the full flap. This amount of flap is probably going to change. I don't know how much it's going to like or want, but that's where we're going to start. Obviously, right now I don't have ailerons set up. I got a pretty good amount of throw on my ailerons, and this wing, if you look at it, is incredibly similar to a F5 wing, and the ailerons are very similarly sized F5 T38, and they work fantastic. So we'll see if these become troublesome at lower speeds, like in the high alpha flight. I may end up changing that at some point. But for now, we're going to try this first. And obviously, in my first flight, I'm not going to have the leading edge flaps engaged. I may try them at some point in the flight, but it's going to be standard flight setup stuff for a flight or so. And then I'll start messing with the good stuff. So you can see I finished the afterburners, which those turned out pretty cool. I actually made a quick foam plug and just used the missing foam method. So I laid up a couple layers of some real light carbon fiber, and so these almost don't weigh anything, and then I covered in metal tape and then did a little bit of airbrushing on them. So I made them just a hair too small, but honestly it's not the end of the world. From back here you don't even notice it. Now, for those of you that have been following this project, if you don't know too much about the YF-17, you're going to look at this and go, that's an F-18. Well, no, it's not. This is where the F-18 came from. This was the original design that was used by McDonnell Douglas to propose to the Navy for their lightweight fighter. And so there are a number of differences. One you'll notice looking from the backside is how narrow the fuselage is. So the YF-17 was much smaller actually than the F-18, but much more sleek, narrower, not as chunky, The ventral or the dorsal area, which houses some of the fuel, is much smaller on the YF-17. It's much fatter on the F-18. So, in fact, I was doing some research, and today I actually just learned that the YF-17 was the first American airplane to supercruise, which is to go supersonic without the use of afterburner. So that's pretty neat. And just as a side note, the YF-17 weighed about 10,000 pounds less than an F-18. So super lightweight, obviously not made for carrier use, hence the spindly kind of lame landing gear, which is honestly the least attractive part of this airplane. Everything else looks awesome, but the landing gear looked kind of wimpy. But anyways, we're gonna take this thing out and show you guys a quick little taxi test out here in the street. It is breezy, so we're gonna test out the wing tipping tendencies a little bit, but we'll give you guys just a little bit of a demonstration. For those of you who have safety concerns, fear not. I do this all the time. See, it rolls nice and easy. It does need a little bit of lift. Like I said, I just changed the landing gear a little bit, so I need to put a little bit of left steering in it. But give you guys a quick acceleration test here. This will be a quick little 2-second burst. Gets up and moving fairly quickly, and this battery is not charged, and we are at over 4,000 feet today elevation, and plus it's warm, so there will be some acceleration up here in the air. See, it's starting to get light on his nose already, even at that speed. And this CG is a very safe CG. It's not what I would consider marginal. We're going to start off on the safer side and go from there. There we go. Popped a little wheelie on her. That was just a quick little burst of power. So I don't know how long those afterburners are going to last. They're going to get scraped up pretty good on this thing. Just because I do like to land them nose high. So anyways, you can see it's a cool looking airplane. Its taxiing is super nice. It does look very tipsy with that super narrow gear. And the real one was a hair wider, but not by a whole lot. So it's not as wide as an F-16, but it's very similar. But because it's a model and I'm limited on resources and parts, the real landing gear on the real YF-17 actuated a little bit differently than like a retract on a model would. So they're not going to be exactly the same, and so that's about as good as I can get it. So anyways, that's obviously full rate, which I'm never going to use. I'd be surprised if I use more than about that much throw on this thing, especially once I get the CG dialed in. So anyways, hope you guys liked our quick little video, and yeah, I'm super excited to fly this thing. The maiden's going to be next Thursday or Friday, depending on if I can wait for my friend John to show up to the event or not. But it'll be Thursday or Friday next week, so look forward to the maiden video coming on this airplane. Hopefully everything goes well, and I'm super excited about this model. I've been wanting to do a YF-17 for a really long time, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.